After the end of the dragon threat and the fall of Alduin, Skyrim finally breathed a brief sigh of peace. But the truth is, the greatest enemies are rarely where you look. And Tamriel, though vast, is only one of the continents that rest upon the surface of Nirn. Like at Mora and the lost Yokuda, there is also Akavir. Beyond the turbulent waters of the Padomaic Ocean rises this ancient continent, as old as the ages themselves. A place shrouded in toxic mists, unimaginable beasts, and peoples whose existence defies the laws of the world, and who fight amongst themselves for sovereignty. Among them, a race that crossed the sea in ancient times to invade Tamriel, the Tsaesci. Known as the Serpents of the East, the Tsaesci are humanoids with serpentine features, creatures that many compare to the vampires of Tamriel, although their nature is much older and profoundly different. Impeccable warriors, masters of poison, infiltration, silent tactics, and ritual combat. For them, war is an ideal. Long before the birth of modern times, Akavir was dominated by powerful dragons, some as ancient and terrible as Alduin himself. The Tsaesci hunted them one by one, not driven by hatred, but by rivalry. They believed that the dragon's dominion represented a direct affront to the supremacy of their race, and by exterminating almost all the dragons on their continent, they developed a philosophical contempt for any cult, power, or creature of draconic descent. And then, ages later, their prophecies are fulfilled. Alduin returns to Tamriel. Dragons are reborn from the skies, and draconic power breathes again in the world. For the Tsaesci, this is more than a threat. It is heresy against everything they have built. Their gaze immediately turns to the neighboring continent, and this time, for reasons far more serious than simple conquest. The situation in Tamriel, in turn, could not have been more opportune for invaders. The empire shattered by the Great War. Provinces dividing. Kingdoms weakened. Ancient institutions, once pillars of order, now crumbling like ancient stones. Skyrim was no stranger to this fate. Marked by civil war, draconic terror, and centuries of rivalries between its own holds, the province was broken from within, even if it feigned strength on the outside. Even though Akavir didn't know of Alduin's fall, there was something impossible to ignore. Dragons still flew over the skies of Skyrim, and that, in itself, would have been enough to reignite the Tsaesci's military fanaticism. But there was something even worse. Something the Tsaesci felt as an echo of their ancient enemies. A being whose flesh was human, but whose soul belonged to the dragons. The Dovahkiin. For them, this being was not just an anomaly. It was potentially more dangerous than any dragon that had ever existed. The Tsaesci don't attack noisily. First come the spies, assassins, saboteurs. Fishermen disappear off the coast of Windhelm. Patrols are found without tongues. Boats vanish without leaving a trace of wood floating. On a winter night, during a supernatural blizzard, 50 Tsaesci ships emerge from the dreadful sea, shrouded in orange mist. Windhelm is struck first. Gates are breached, guards sliced by curved blades, serpentine troops move too fast to be human. Within hours, Windhelm falls. Winterhold, weakened, falls without resistance, with only a few mages protecting the college with a large magical barrier. The Tsaesci know that the Dragonborn is the only real threat. The Serpentine generals order their armies to find the dragon's blood. Akavir wants to eradicate the last vestige of draconic power. At the height of that desperate campaign, the Dragonborn meets with the Greybeards and Parthenaks on the icy summit of High Hrothgar. Surprisingly, Delphine and Esbern, remnants of the Blades, are also present. It was an unlikely encounter. Blades and Greybeards never understood each other, never shared the same vision of the power of dragons. But the Tsaesci threat was too great to allow for old rivalries. And ironically, both factions possessed something Skyrim desperately needed. The Blades, direct descendants of the Tsaesci military traditions embodied by Riemann Cyrodiil, knew the enemy's methods better than anyone else. And the Greybeards, guardians of ancient knowledge, held accounts of Akavir that no imperial library had ever possessed. It was the perfect moment. With strategy, history, and power gathered in a single hall, the counterattack could finally be orchestrated. But something was still missing. The Dragonborn needed a weapon capable of breaking through the serpentine fighting style, something that could shatter the fluidity, speed, and deadly precision of the Tsaesci. It was then that the Masters of the Voice, after long discussions and meditation with Parthenaks, decided to reveal one last teaching. A forbidden Thu'um, created to bring balance amidst the approaching chaos. The shout that would seal the serpent's fate.
Fus Kein Zin.
A wave of pure force, shaped by the honor of just war, capable of shattering the Tsaesci's posture, breaking their sinuous movements, and interrupting their impossible speed. It was the perfect answer to the enemy who had mastered dragons and conquered continents. With a new cry in his soul, the Dragonborn summons what remained of Skyrim's military force, Imperial Legionaries and Stormcloaks side by side, mages, companions, blades, and even some Greybeards willing to support the fight. For the first time in ages, Skyrim marched united, and at the head of this unlikely alliance, raising its voice against the serpentine tide of Akavir, was the Dragonborn, the leader who would lead Tamriel to the counterattack. battle had been won. But at what cost? In the following months, Skyrim became a vast reconstruction site. The holds were reorganized, cities rebuilt from ashes, the homeless received aid, and the dead were mourned by the living. Like Ulfric Stormcloak, who fell during the siege of Windhelm. The people tried to resume their lives, but one truth remained unshaken. Nothing guaranteed that the Tsaesci would not return. However, even in the face of fear, something new ignited the hearts of the Nords, the morale gained in that impossible victory. It planted a spirit of daring that Skyrim hadn't seen in ages. If the Akaviri had been defeated on Nord soil, then the time had come to reverse the roles. It was Tamriel that would take the war to the gates of Akaviri. For the first time in centuries, a historically besieged continent decided to counterattack. An unimaginable unification. Legionaries, Stormcloaks, companions, mages, blades, and even some Greybeards now marched under a single purpose. And so, under the icy winds, dozens of warships departed from Skyrim, cutting through the waves like a promise of retaliation, or as the harbinger of a new bloody era.